Hello everybody, great to have you along for our Sunday Million highlight show. This one covering the Sunday Million, the most exciting online poker tournament on earth from the 20th of March. Over 9,500 runners, so it's a really big one, generating a $1.9 million prize pool. I'm Nick Wealthall, bringing you all of the action from the final table. There are your runners and riders, chip standings at the start of hand one, and a big early move for Ik Ben Es Baas, which I think probably means something when translated. Make it up at home. Probably just think of something funny and crude, knowing you lot. Here we go then. 150,000, 300,000 blinds. This tournament taking place during the supermoon, the biggest the moon has ever been since the recording of E.T., I believe, in 1982. That was a particularly big moon when compared to a BMX bike. Dick Emp on the button with pocket sevens, and in goes the money. Pretty standard stuff, and I've got a sneaking feeling you might get some action here. Kalmuka or Kalmukar from Bulgaria puts the money in, and we'll have a race. Sevens with the tiny edge, but the sevens of Dick Emp need to survive. Good flop. Survival is so far on the menu. Nobody has a club, so just needs to fade the river, and does so. So, important early double up for Dick Emp from the States. Puts himself in with a chance of one of the bigger prizes. A lot of money up for grabs today. There always is in the million, but 9,500 runners is a ton. We'll skip forward to hand number 20. And there are a couple of familiar names at this final table if you follow online poker closely. Mr. Big Queso, who has a big stack from Spain. He has over $1.5 million in online earnings, so a really experienced player. And Seraphim V runned up the Sunday Million a little while ago, actually, December 2009, but knows what it takes to get through this field. That's obvious. Ik Ben Es Baas raises with the ace-king, and some unfortunate timing here for Kalmuka. Decides to 3-bet with the ace-9, and yeah, the predictable shove from Ik Ben and the call from Kalmuka. So Kalmuka deciding to 3-bet, deciding he was ahead of the Dutch player's range, finds out he is in a dominated spot, and the Bulgarian player in serious danger of exiting this final table. He would be our 8th place finisher. Big pot, isn't it, for early on? 16 million in the middle, and no help for Kalmuka on the flop. Nothing on the turn. A spade would chop it up. No spades in either hand. Oh, there you go. Get out of jail free card for Kalmuka. Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha. He probably put in the chat box. Kalmuka then lives to fight another day. Could that be significant? Ben Es Baas would have had a huge chip stack. Still comfortable, though. We're playing 150,000, 300,000 blinds. And Black Mojos, which I initially read as Black Mojitos, which tells you something about my withdrawal problems, for which I'm getting help. Black Mojos makes the raise, and sitting right behind him, Upstrick with the pocket rockets, and we'll play it a little bit trappily, just the flat call. He's getting cute with the aces. Mr. Big Queso can get involved here. Pocket deuces, he does. We'll have 3 players to the flop, and aces are still fine. And actually in a hugely dominating position, as you can see. But how will Upstrick play it? Always interesting to see when players play aces trappily before the flop. Always interesting to see their philosophy on the flop. Some players, they'll trap pre-flop, but then once the flop comes out, they'll panic and they'll try and get the money in as quickly as possible. Others will continue the trap, if you like. Mr. Big Queso is going to lead out on this flop. Kind of flop where he might get 2 folds. He might also have the best hand right now. Does get Black Mojos to fold, and we'll find out if Upstrick's going to continue to play a little bit sneakily, or whether he's going to put in the raise, try and get the money in the middle. Well, it is just a call, so trap as yet unsprung. That's the status of the trap, unsprung. And what does Mr. Big Queso do now? Slightly tricky, because it does have quite a big stack behind, as does Upstrick. Upstraight could have called that flop with a really wide range of hands. A lot of draws, a lot of possible one-pair hands. And yeah, Mr. Big Quasar will bet again. Try and get him off those weaker one-pair hands, those weak draws. And Upstraight calls again. And you'd have thought Upstraight with the aces is committed here. Will probably be calling this river. Mr. Big Quasar will probably think his twos are no longer winning, but does he think he can get Upstraight off? It's a tough ask. It will go check, check. No value bet on the river for Upstraight, but he will take down a decent pot. A little bit of trappy play there, a little bit of pot control, whatever you want to brand it. It works out in a decent size win. Mr. Big Quasar now short stacked. This is hand 32. The blinds have gone up 200,000, 400,000. And we're still nine-handed, which is reasonably unusual for the million final table. Early eliminations quite often happen, but not today. Let's see if everyone survives this one. 3 short stacks on the button and in the blinds. Mr. Big Quasar will not dabble. Pure cash. Well, actually, this is a sort of mini cooler, isn't it, for everybody to fold round to these two hands. Pure cash is going to shovel in, and Seraphim is going to call. All very standard and all very bad news for Pure Cash 25. Needs to get lucky. The same situation Kalmaka had, but so far no help for Pure Cash. Just a jack on the river. Or the American player from Las Vegas, Nevada will be our first elimination, and that's the way it goes. Great tournament, but an early exit from the final table. $13,000 to swell his bankroll with and leave us 8-handed. And shortly after that, Mr. Big Quasar would be eliminated in 8th. The Spanish player takes home $19,000 to add to his 1.5 in online winnings. So no big score today, but compared to what he's used to, but still a nice cash. We'll continue 7-handed, hand 42, with Kalmaka open raising with the pocket tens. And Ben and Bass, you can flat call with the ace-jack. Thought about different ways to play it, you suspect, but it is a flat call. Both of these players do have plenty of chips in reserve. Black Mojo's now with pocket fours. Decides to fold. Might look a little bit tight. I don't mind it, to be honest. It's got a funny sort of stack, and unless he flops a 4, hard to proceed from there. Nice flop for Ben and Bass. I wish I spoke Dutch because I'm saying that name a lot. And I hope it doesn't mean the commentator is a moron. It's odds against, let's be honest. He would have had to have generated that screen name when signing up, knowing he'd be in this situation. So I think it's fine. Kalmaka will continue here. And the aforementioned Ben will flat call with 2 pair. Oh, my life. Queen on the turn. Kalmaka with the straight. Horrible for Ben and Bass. Can he possibly get away from this? I couldn't. Don't know if you at home watching could. I mean, it's scary, but it's not particularly deep stacked, and I don't know, there's lots of combination hands he could have here. 1 pair and flush draw type hands he could have. I don't know, would he bet again on the turn? This is a funny spot. Interesting to know what your analysis is of this one. It's funny, isn't it? The 2 pair suddenly looks pretty horrible. If the river's a blank, okay, well, that does bring the flush, which may kill the action. It depends what Kalmaka decides to do. I don't think Ben and Bass is going to be turning his hand into a bluff or anything fancy like that. Well, Kalmaka will shove with the straight, and Ben and Bass does get away from it. So that was a nice river card. That 9 of spades, I think, removed any doubt and leaves Ben and Bass in this tournament. Just one of those things, if a blank had come on the river, bit of hidden luck there. I'm not sure if he could have got away from it. Would have been a tough spot either way. As it is, we'll go on. Both players survive. Kalmaka with the big stack. And ex-Braumeister. I'm just going to call him Braumeister. I think we're close enough. Final table at W Coupe last year, so no stranger to big final tables. First we've heard of him here. He has opened the bidding. And Kalmaka thinking, which is a little bit surprising, with the King 6. Well, there's the answer to that thought. I'm going to stick him in. I'm going to see how he fancies it. Well, Brandmaster's not going anywhere. And a great spot to get his money in. But no means a lock, and he needs it to hold up. Interesting flop. Kalmaka with the open-ended straight draw now. And hits it on the turn. Doesn't even have the decency to wait till the river. That's all the run Brandmeister gets for his money. Got it in good. That's all you can do. But the German player will have to finish in 7th and be happy with it. $38,000 for him leaves us 6-handed in the million. Kalmaka is the big stack in line for some huge cash. If you'd like to follow suit, we'd love to have you. We're going to give you a shot at a free seat with our free roll. You'll simply need to go to the tourney tab, the free roll tab, and search for the online poker show free roll. Details of how to enter with the password if you stay watching later in this show.
Growing up on the circuit, everyone wanted to offer me advice. When to bet, when to fold, when to raise, what to wear, what to eat. But there was one piece of advice that took me to a new level.
Daniel, don't do anything stupid.
At PokerStars.com, there's a tournament starting every second. Develop your game at the world's largest poker site.
Welcome back to a very big tournament on the world's largest poker site. Over 9,500 runners started. These are the 6 that remain. Kalmaka's taking control of this tournament. In the next few hands, Seraphim would move up a little bit. Now, 6-handed, they would make a deal. At this point, a big chop. And an unusual one. We haven't seen many 6-handed chops. In the 5th anniversary tournament, there was a whole final table chop, but there was mega money involved. Now, of course, there is mega money involved here. Let's not forget that for most of these players. For me, and I suspect for you watching, if you're the average chap, then we're talking about mega money. But we don't always see a 6-handed deal. Well, that's what we've got. Details of those payouts later on at the end of the show. But they are still playing for money, and they are still playing for the Sunday Million title. Let's see how we go. Upstrick has opened this one, and the 3-bet for Seraphim. I think he's decided he's more than happy to get his money in with Ace-Queen. Upstrick will go with this. So, King-Jack, and I've assumed Seraphim will call. Yep, he does. 23 million in the middle, and Upstrick in trouble. It's your classic 60-40-ish type scenario. Not so much now. Seraphim, after that flop, in dominant position. Significant pot, this one, especially for Upstrick, of course, from the Belarus. Minsk, in fact, in Belarus. And that's how they roll in Belarus. Finding the jack on the turn. And the king denies him on the river. Looks like a pretty 2-pair card, actually. Makes Seraphim the nuts. Broadway on the river. Seraphim did have the best hand at the start, so it's fair enough. It just came out dramatically. And bad news for Upstrick. But good news is he wins $135,000. Huge money. 6-figure payouts all the way at the million. We're 5-handed now. Still 300,000, 600,000 blind.